house. You're live, Chris Upton in the house. Wow. Honestly, I'm looking rough today. Well, it's been one of them days. Andrew Tennant first in the house? No. Oh, no, Simon Spruce first in the house. Kieran Evans, good evening. Andrew Tennant, hello, Chris. So it's a pleasure to be back. And Kieran, great to see you. Familiar name. I was hoping you could address pointing a little bit of transition the retrieve as juveniles to steady trial-worthy point, please, and thanks for the advice. I was hoping you could address pointing a little and just transforming from the retrieve as a juvenile to steady trial-worthy point, please. Thanks for your advice. Do you mean GSPs? We're talking about GSPs here, Andrew. Is that what we're talking about? Or save it for Patreon. Are you on Patreon? Let's save it for Patreon. Let me know what you want. Chris Upton, could you critique a video for me? I'm a bit busy at the moment. Perhaps later, yeah. But not at this moment. So how are you? How is everyone? Shall we start with that first? How is everyone? Yeah, everyone all right? Yeah. A cup of tea tonight. Cup of tea. Anyway. Or another cup of tea? No, let's do the whiskey, shall we? Or how about that one for kinky couples? 95% fun base, Sue said, for kinky couples. Anyway, Susan, there you go. Take your cups away. You got any Pringles? I haven't touched your Pringles. I didn't touch your Pringles. I have not touched your Pringles. Do not accuse me of stealing Pringles. Honestly, I do not like being accused of something I have not done. No, I remember I ate them all last night. Oh, she remembers now. She ate them all last night. See? Tried to accuse me of eating Pringles. I'm on a liquid diet. Good evening, Christopher. Oh my God. Everyone's in the house tonight, aren't they? Hey, keen tonight, aren't you? 39 people in the house and 3 thumbs up. And what have we done? We've not even answered a question. Denver Skinner, John Griffiths, good evening. Denver Skinner, Steve Pace, Graham Allison, good evening. Michael, Michael Malogan. Oliver Twist, he's back in the house. That Oliver Swift, I always get that wrong. Carl McHenry, Stuart Burns, must be from Scotland. Peter Taylor, good evening. Matt Crew, not the tables, Carlos. Jay Brooker, good evening. Oh, listening tonight. Jay Brooker's listening tonight with his little fella Alfie. Did you see your video, Jay, I put up today for you for the galloping horse? Hope both you and Sue are well. What about your dog? Ask about your dog. I put a video up about your dog on the beach today. Hi, Chris. Nice chat the other day. Yes, it was, Andy. Nice having a chat with you. Frank Casey, good evening, Chris. Oh, good evening, Chris. And Sue. Good evening, Sue. Hello, Sue. Sue's in the house. She's over there. Say good evening, Susan. I am. Now you've accused me of nicking Pringles. Sorry about the hair. It's looking a bit like Jack Nicholson, isn't it? In The Shining. Honey, I'm home. Dog photographer. Hi, everyone. I'm eating garlic bread and beer. Good for you. Take a photo. Show us. Matthew Cloud, hi guys. Robert Jeffrey, evening all. Simon says, when are you moving to your new home? Beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful. I £585,000 that house. £585,000. Now, some of you people are living in London. That's a bargain. But some of you people living up north and people living down Cornwall, that's quite a lot of money. 585,000. I didn't save hard enough as a child. That's my problem. I may find a rich relative one day. You've got some money, Upton. 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 Just remember Upton, top ranking. Upton. No problem at all, boy. Right, okay, what have we been talking about today? What have we been doing today? Oh, I got myself in trouble, didn't I? Got myself in freaking trouble this week. Do you want to hear about it or not? It was on the Larry Crone live. He'd been doing live with black trainers, and the first one he brought on was a black lady, and she was telling everybody how persecuted she's felt in the past. And I felt a little bit like, well, we've all been persecuted at some point, but if you've not been in that situation, perhaps you don't realise how horrible it can be if people are prejudiced against you. But I just listened to it, and I didn't really enjoy it that much. I felt like saying, get over it. We've all had problems. I've been dyslexic and I've not had the mickey taken out of me all my life. I'm fat. I've had that taken out of me. Do I go and sit in a corner and cry? Now I get on with it. I laugh at it. And sometimes in life, it's better to laugh at things, isn't it? And get too wound up and too subconscious about what people think about you. Don't put yourself out there if you're not interested in that. Anyway, I'm not being rude. I'm not saying she was wasn't a nice lady. Hello, Larry. Larry's in the house, so he can listen to us and see what I'm talking about. She's a lovely lady, but I wanted to come on there and listen to her as a dog trainer, and not as the black problem that we've got in America is bigger than it is here, but we still got racial tensions here as well. But I've never been racist in any way, and it's really important because at the end of the day, I treat everybody equal. I've never ever looked at somebody's skin color and gone, oh, you're not getting the same service as that person or that person. And then Larry, we did the live feed on Sunday, and then Larry had somebody else on, and he was talking a lot of good stuff, but I came in late, and I thought he already talked about racial tensions and the problem with being a black trainer and the prejudice you get with some people, not realizing they hadn't talked about much of that. And I asked a question, and I think he took offense, not Larry, the black guy, because I think he thought I was asking the question because I used the N-word, and I genuinely wasn't. I was asking a simple question that it's an offensive word to use, and I never use it. I've got black friends. I'd never use that to my black friends, not even as a joke. And yet black people use that word with each other. That's the question I asked. And it just shows how it can be misinterpreted, a question on the internet. Now, is it because I'm dyslexic? But I didn't mean anything by it. And then I said straight away, I'm not a racist. And some girl said something, you are, or you are, or something like that. And I thought, you don't even know me. But it was generally nothing negative about the live feed. And I apologized to Larry afterwards. And Larry said to me, no, don't worry about it. You didn't do anything wrong. But what I did then, I went back and listened to it, and they weren't really talking about racial tensions or anything like that. They're talking about dog training. It was so much more interesting. But my question must have come out of the blue because I'd watched the other live, and they were talking about the differences between being a white trainer and a black trainer, and the problems you have in certain areas, in areas where there's majority of people are white in America, and the prejudice that you have to go through in life. And I think Larry's great for putting them up, but the first one I didn't enjoy as much as the second one. But then the third one was fantastic. So what does that tell us all, everyone? We're all different. 3 black people, 3 live feeds, 3 completely different characters, the same as white people. It's all depends what you've got in your heart. And all this racial tension and all this, I'm against this and I'm against that, I can't be arsed with it. All I want to do is train dogs. And that's important to me. And I listen to as much stuff as I can, but they're driving me to the point I don't want to say anything anymore in case I offend. And I generally did not say that. I was generally interested because I thought of the racial tensions in America, and we watch a lot of rap music. Well, I do. I like rap music. I'm not against rap music. I love rap music. Rap, you lot. You older people won't know. Not rat music, rap music. And I love black music. And they do say, don't they? The Americans have their soul singers, and we've got our soul singers. Our soul singers. Anyway, Larry, I take my hat off to you because you understood what I was saying. And at the end of the day, it was not meant to be offensive in any way. But the way he came back at it, I could have got shirty, but I didn't. I just apologized and said, listen, I didn't mean it in a racist way. I meant it in an honest, open manner. I thought it was a question that could be answered. And that's how I am as a person. I'm a little bit direct. I am dyslexic. Sometimes I might write something you might think, what does he mean? I get the same down here when I look at some people's stuff. But at the end of the day, everyone, I'm not racist in any way. And I have to say it because I feel that why should I have to defend myself when I'm not being racist? But unfortunately, in today's society, you've got to be so careful what you say. So I take me out to Larry for bringing that subject up, bringing black people in and asking them about dog training. The third one was absolutely fantastic. Such an articulate man. Doesn't matter what color skin he is, but it was good of Larry to go down that road because I know Larry would take some shit from certain people. And you don't know what's going to happen when you go live. You put your head above the parapet, you're going to be shot at. I wouldn't have asked it if I thought your intentions were bad. Thank you, Larry. And that's nice of you. Thank you very much. Cheers, mate. But at the end of the day, once I listened back at that second live feed, because I was on a live feed myself on Sunday, as you all know, who comes on Patreon, I thought it was talking about the racial tensions in America because we see it on the news. It's sad, isn't it? Antifa and all this shit. You know, we've just been in a restaurant and just seen a girl in the corner on the table, and she's either a butch lesbian with a group of kids. And I said, if you looked at those people at that table, you would think instantly that's Antifa, and yet you can't think like that because they just may be a happy group of lesbians. But hey, each to their own, I say. And that's exactly the same scenario with dog training. I get people coming in trying to tell me that I don't know how to train a dog because I use an e-collar now. Well, I can tell you, with Larry Crone's ability of using that e-collar and the videos he's put up, Larry Crone is not just an e-collar trainer, but he has helped me understand the e-collar so much better. And he's changed my mindset because before you could say you were prejudiced against the e-collar, Chris. You slagged everybody off who used an e-collar. No, I slagged the e-collar off, not people who used the e-collar, because 20 years ago when they were using them, they were frying the shit out of dogs and ruining them. Simple as that. But because I educate myself, I got off my arse. I watch these things. I don't just believe everything I see. And I get out there and I start to experiment and I start to just tweak things slightly different to Larry, what Larry does. But I've learned so much by watching his videos. And if it wasn't for people like Larry putting them up, then how would we know? Because where have we got these trainers in the UK? Where have we got these gun dog trainers in the UK? These film stars, these so-called film stars that are running around taking lots and lots of money off people and yet not showing people how to sort problem dogs out. I sort problem dogs out. Do I need an e-collar like exactly what Larry says? No. But do I understand by talking to Larry and talking to people with the same mindset as Larry, right? Doesn't mean I agree with everybody using e-collar, that I watch for using e-collar. It means that I tweak things, but I don't go out criticizing everybody and anybody for my own gain. But if I see someone being abusive, that's a different kettle of fish. That's a different kettle of fish. If you're being abusive to a dog and I see it, I'll tell you. I've been accused of being abusive to dogs, and that's why I stand up for what I believe in. And if we don't stand up, like I have for the last 10 years, saying that, yes, I do use discipline. I hold my hands up. I use discipline. I use correction, but I use 95% of training. 95%. That's what it says, doesn't it? Never mind the bollocks. Show me your dog. Never mind the bollocks. Show me your dog. That's what I say to you. What does it say there? I've trained with Chris Upton. It was 95% fun. Right? We had these cups sent to us from a customer, a client, a friend, and he wouldn't let me pay for them. Why do people do that? Why do people turn up with bottles of whiskey, fillet steak? I see that Larry gets treated like a king as well. What you want to do is ask the question why. Ask the question why people respect you. They respect you because you stand for what you believe in, and you stand up and say it. And that's what I believe in. Do not hide behind something that you don't do or you do. Do. Something doesn't sound right, does it? Do. Anyway, I don't know why I got onto a rant. I don't know why I got onto a rant.
Yeah.
Go on, Sue.
You need to go back up to the 3 questions.
Sue said I need to go up and ask a few questions.
There's a few questions.
Love it. Never mind the bollocks. Show me your dog. Excuse me. Yeah, exactly. We've got to stand up and we've got to fight back, but we've got to fight back in a diplomatic way, in a way that we win hearts and minds. Not that we're going to be false. We don't need to be false. We need to put our work up there and share it and show it. Now, guess what? When I was on YouTube with 3.5 million views and 7,000 plus subscribers, they got it for free. Some people loved it. Some people never told me they loved it until afterwards when they've missed it. But you had the 8 gangs in there all watching, looking for any mistake, anything we do that upsets them, and they attack and they share your videos and they edit them and they share them. I've stood up to them people for 10 years. That's why I've gone over to Patreon. We've got a group of people in Patreon that I really, really like, that they are in there for the right reasons. They're in there because they want to learn to train dogs. And I'm not there to abuse dogs. But at the end of the day, just because I use discipline where someone would use food or someone would use a clicker, I don't, but I explain to you why. Now, I'm going to say this, and I said it today on Chris Fraser's live feed on YouTube. He was on about the video that he put up, and I said, you put that video up on purpose because you wanted views. Or I said something like, you knew what would happen. Because it was out of context of, he did not explain what the situation was. I knew what the situation was, but to anybody who doesn't know the situation, you could get confused and think that's abuse. That dog was screaming when he gave a leash tug, a leash correction, and the dog was coming up the lead at him and he had to protect himself. You could say you caused that if you don't know what you're talking about. But he knew what he was doing. I knew what he was doing because I'm experienced and I could see exactly. And he had actually explained it on a previous video. But he put it up in the format he did. Whether he put it up to cause a sensation, that's what I'm asking him. And he said, no one asked me on live anymore. Well, I said to him there and then, I'd speak to you on live. I'd ask you about that video. Because if you put videos out there to cause controversy, you'll get the views, but you got to take the shit with it. Because at the end of the day, if you sit and explain why that dog was reacting the way it was reacting, he wouldn't have got the reaction he got. And then he turns around and says he doesn't care about the reaction he gets. Well, I think we all care deep down, the reaction we get if we're caring people. So that's not having a go at Chris Fraser. What I'm saying to you people is I like a lot of the stuff that Chris Fraser talks about and what he does, but I don't agree with everything. And when I saw that video, I said that video could make you famous. In the wrong hands, in the wrong groups, they will rip the shit out of us trainers because it does not break it down and explain the situation. That's what I was saying. And Chris got a little bit like, I don't know what you're on about. I don't know what you're on about. I said, well, I couldn't keep writing. I wasn't having an argument with him. But as a professional trainer, I'm entitled to give my opinion. He doesn't have to agree with it. But if he asks for opinions, then he's got to take it. And sometimes in life, you've got to stand up to people. Not that I was standing up particularly to Chris. I just gave my opinion. And it's important because I don't care if he sees this or doesn't see this or someone tells him about it. I stand by everything I say. And the same as what I was saying about Larry. I didn't change the story about the Larry situation. I was bringing the story into dog training because I know a few black dog trainers. Robert Elaine is one of them. I've never looked at him as his skin color. I've looked at him for his ability. I've never been a racist towards him. I've looked at him for his ability as a trainer. And for a man who hasn't got any dogs and then tells me for hours and hours in conversations that he's never had a dog, but he'd like to punch Victoria Stilwell in the mouth, I don't think that's a TV personality dog trainer should be saying things like that because they work the PC methods to get themselves into the media light. If they then seem to be not the person they are, then they throw the toys out of the pram. And that's where he threw his toys out of the pram, where he was on the Chris Fraser site talking about wanting to throw a pit bull off the top of a balcony and was willing to surrender one part of his body so he could capture the dog. And I just couldn't believe what I was listening to. And because I didn't agree with him, he fell out with me after 2 years of being friends with each other. That's life. That you have to live with that. Do I hold any resentment against the bloke? No. Would I be racist against him because what he did to me? No. He tried to turn the whole positive movement against me and say that I'm abusive. So on my Patreon, I shared a written essay that he put up stating that he didn't think the e-collar should be banned. And he was top man at the Dogs Trust or something. That's how he climbed up the ladder through dog borstal and all that stuff. But in reality, do I rate him as a trainer? No. Am I willing to listen to anything he says? Yes, because that's how you learn. But at the end of the day, I'm not going out my way to slag him off in a nasty way. I'm saying it the way it is, because he then started telling everyone the way I trained the dog in the woods with an e-collar was disgusting. I stand by everything I put on the internet, and I will debate with anybody in a rational manner. But what I will not do is if you go after me with a witch hunt looking to cause shit, right? I don't deal with idiots like that anymore. I've been there, done it, and read the book. You learn to move on and not let them bother you. Dan Lawrence, hi Chris. I've been tapping into gameplay for 2 weeks on concrete as my 15-month-old cocker was distracted by scent in the field. So far, so good. So when should I move back to the field? Thanks. So what made you go onto concrete then, Dan, and not the field? Because you've obviously been in the field and the dog's been on scent. Is that because you watched my videos and my videos have told you that, or has somebody else told you that? Because if they've told you that, that's the right thing to do. You get more focus on concrete with retrieving than you do if you go into the hunting and the dog gets its head down in the field. The lab videos are so entertaining. I must say, very enjoy the lab videos are so entertaining. I must say, enjoyable to see him respond in the training. Thank you, Peter Taylor. Hi, Chris. Harley has had a couple of good chases over the last couple of days. His driver's gone another 50% up. I think he'll be ready for the stop putting on him in a week or two. I'd put the stop on him now if I was you, Peter. Looking at your training, I would put the stop on him now, my man. You're going to stop doing it separate, away from the hunting, and if he keeps getting into chases, you're going to make it harder and harder for you. He's at the right age now to bring some structure into his life. It doesn't mean he's had freedom. Larry's book is the simplest way to not fuck your dog up. It's really, really brilliant. There you go, Kieran. How many people have I put you onto, Kieran, in the dog training world that I rate? How many people have I actually said to you, this person is worth following, this person is worth following? Do I try and keep everything to myself? No. I'm one of those trainers who've gone out of his way to try and communicate with positive trainers, balanced trainers, if you want to call them balanced trainers. I don't get into the rickety of he's an e-collar trainer and he's a clicker trainer. You know, trainers, I try and bring everyone together. But guess what? You're wasting your time sometimes because it just causes a bigger friction. But I've gone out of my way over the years to try and entertain people with other people's work as well. Soul's in the house. Thank you, Soul. You're a star, Soul. Look at that. We've got t-shirts coming tomorrow. Honestly, it's getting silly, isn't it? It's getting too commercial, isn't it, everyone? Just get your freaking... I mean, Kawasaki, look, because of the mule. Honestly, everyone's wanting to sponsor me. Soul wants me to do song and dance. Larry says, I think you're as open-minded, honest as they come, Chris. Wish everyone was. Thank you, Larry. That means a lot to me as well. I read what you said a minute ago, and that means a lot to me because that's the way I wanted to go in the dog training world. Don't feed bullshit. The Kennel Club are saying we should be doing it with positive and positive only. You will not train dogs to the standard that we train dogs, under the temptation we train dogs, if you haven't got a balanced approach in as we use the 4 quadrants. And not everybody wants to talk about the 4 quadrants. And I think that not everybody needs to know about the 4 quadrants. But as trainers, we need to study it, and we have. And that's where some of the oldest school trainers that have got some good methods and they still work, but they're not willing to move forward and educate themselves. I watch so many trainers. I watched a trainer the other day, another live podcast, and he was talking about the most important thing is gameplay. How often are the good trainers talking about gameplay? Where do you think we learned this? Where do you think we learned this? We learned it from the sports side, from the competition side, right? Whether it's protection dogs, whether it's agility, whether it's obedience, right? And they got to the stage of screwing dogs down, and they were flat. And then they changed the rules slightly and said you can't have a flat dog. Anybody can suppress a dog. Anybody can bully a dog from day one. I thought the post from the guy from the Dogs Trust was astonishing, as enlightened and truthful. Well, it just shows then, Soul, doesn't it? That's Robert Elaine, who's been slagging me off for using the e-collar because he's got a grudge against me because I disagreed with throwing the dog over a balcony, a pit bull off a 7th floor balcony, as a animal welfare officer. He was talking about doing that, and I disagreed with him. But that we fell out over because then he said I was siding with Chris Fraser. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. But guess what, everyone? I stand exactly by what I said. And then to try and turn all these little groupies, and most of them are women in the positive only movement. I'm surprised I didn't have Caprice knocking on my window. Caprice? Did you see that video? Caprice? But like I said, I stand up and fight for my rights. I stand up and fight for what I believe in. And if you go after me, I have no problem going after you. But guess what? There's more in life to do than that. We're trying to teach. We're trying to educate. And that's what this dog training world should be like. We've got the platform. They were talking about on the Chris Fraser show today on his live that the internet is not a good thing. It's not a good platform. It's a fantastic platform if you use it right. It's a fantastic tool if you use it right. You can build a business on the internet if you use it right. You can build a business if you lie to people on the internet and tell everything. You can do it with fairy farts. It's as simple as that. But fairy farts alone ain't going to work. Anyway, I've never had a fairy fart. Sue, do you fart? But despite your fallout, he's come round to the evidence and well, that's the old point, Soul. That's by talking to him. That's by talking to him for 2 years as two trainers who didn't have the same approach, but he had seen another trainer. He went to a training seminar to a trainer he didn't want to go because it was e-collar, and he went along, and when he saw the e-collar used in such a gentle fashion, he said, hang on, this is not the tool that I thought it was. And that I give him credit for. I give him credit for the honesty in that. But as the so-called film star Robert Elaine, and trust me, it's all PC rubbish, has he gone public and mentioned this in public on TV to stick up and say the Kennel Club are out of order? They're wrong for banning this tool. There'll be more dogs put down. There'll be more dogs in the Battersea Cats and Dogs Home and the Dogs Trust, and there will be more dogs put to sleep because of people banning the e-collar through the lies and the rubbish the Kennel Club are peddling and big business like the RSPCA are peddling. It's a disgrace. And that's why every now and again it raises its ugly head and Chris Upton stands up and says something and stands up for the e-collar. But like I said, if they ban the e-collar, I'll be able to train dogs. But I guarantee there's people out there, dog trainers, who won't have a clue. But guess what? Evening, Ryan. How are you? Have you seen your video of your dog? Water work? Holding the retrieve, Ryan. That was what we were working on. I'll put it up tonight. So what I'm saying to you is, as professional trainers, I think we have a care of duty to stand up and say it. It's exactly the same as the video I've just put up with Ryan's dog, and we're force retrieving the dog. People don't know how many months I've worked on that dog with food, with affection, with gameplay to get him to hold that retrieve. It's not working. Time is money. Customers got to have results. So now I'm saying you will hold it. That was my last resort, because that was the last thing I wanted to do, is force him to hold it. But it works. It works. But guess what? Why does it come with a warning? Because if you've got a soft dog and it's not keen retriever and you do it and you haven't built up weeks and weeks of nurture and trust between you and the dog, you've got two choices. The dog's going to either rebel, spit it out, and you're going to have to come down heavy on the dog, or you're going to have to admit defeat and move away and have a dog not retrieving. It's so important that you get the foundation built into these dogs strong to begin with. The foundation, not the training. I think Larry's been talking about it. I've been talking about it. A number of other good trainers have been talking about it. We've been talking about obedience is only like 20% of training. The bond, the time you spend with the dog, creating that partnership, that normal living relationship that you're not fighting all the time with each other, you're not arguing with each other all the time, and the dog wants to do it. That's the most important thing in dog training. What we're doing is putting up, well, I'm putting up dogs going wrong and showing you how to put them right. And the only reason I'm not putting up me showing the correction is because each dog is different and some dogs need more than others. And how will you know unless you can read your dog? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get you to read these dogs. We're trying to get you to understand your own dogs. Kevin Evans, Larry Crone, Jamie Penrith, Danny Wells, Chris Fraser, and Jonas Black, all absolutely the best in their fields. Well, there you go, Karen. There you go. I'm glad you've give your opinion. And everyone's entitled to an opinion. And there's some good names there. You've got some passionate people fighting for what they believe in. Do I believe in everything they say, each one of them? No. Would I rubbish any of those trainers? No. Because I think they've all got qualities in different ways. Some things I don't agree with some of them. But that doesn't mean we need to fall out. That's the important thing about dog training. I'm not a clone. I don't just follow one person and I just want to emulate that one person, because I've never found one person yet who's perfect. I don't think they're out there. I've never met a perfect dog yet. I was going to say except the wife. Stop it. That's because of my dyslexic mind, see? You just did. Now, it's the same as women, isn't it? There's some really good-looking women out there, but some of them might have mental issues, or you might have mental issues after you've lived with them. A guy said to me years ago, what you got to do, you've got to find an ugly-looking woman, and then she'll stay with you for the rest of your life. That's why I married Sue. Stop it. Incoming. Not really. Opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one. Why did you hide that message? Who hid that message? And we got moderators in here too soft. Oh, no. View deleted message. No, don't delete his message. That's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, there's no problem at all. Let him have that one. Let's go on. No, I don't know what that meant. Anyway, you can put that question up. There's nothing wrong with what he said there. Anyway, Chris is ranted. So the BSc report about ecos was just perfect when you looked at the study rather than the way they quoted it. Exactly. And guess what? It wasn't even a complete study, was it? That's the whole point. That's the whole point. I mean, it's like where do we draw the line between reality and false hopes? What are they now saying? So the training seminar may be off in October. Why? Because now 6 people are not allowed to. What's the actual saying, Sue?
What's that?
About the government. 6 people can't congregate together.
Only 6.
Only 6.
From different households. So.
From different households. It's ridiculous. But they've done it to keep it simple for the idiots. But it leaves it open to interpretation, doesn't it? It's how you see it.
Yeah, but they should have kept it to 5. Because then the idiots could just count on their fingers, couldn't they? Did
you hear that, everyone? Did you hear what Secret Sue in the corner said? Well, they should have kept it to 5 so the idiots could only count on 5 fingers.
Yeah, but when they go to their other arm, they'll get confused.
She's getting worse, isn't she? She's getting worse, honestly. But I'm more serious and so much better nowadays. Well done, boy. That video was quite a good video because I was actually explaining what I was doing at the time. I never see anybody on that beach, on that part of the river. And there was a woman sitting there with a rucksack. And as soon as she saw the dogs, she started going on about being a trainer and how good she is. And she's been doing it since she was 6, training dogs since she was 6. And she went on and on and on and on. And I don't be rude to people. I didn't say, listen, can you just go away? I'm trying to train this dog. I'm trying to do a video. So I was trying to humor her, just quite. And then I went off and do the dogs and turned around. And I thought, she's still there. She's still watching. And then I asked her on purpose, and I said to her, you know, are you a positive trainer or a balanced trainer or what? And she's going on again. And she says, no. If I got to give correction, I'll give correction. I thought, oh, at least I can give the dog a tug if I have to. And I'm down on the beach, aren't I? And I'm making him hold it. And so I'm putting it in his mouth and I'm making him hold it. And he's getting better and better. And I worked for weeks with the food base. Why? Because I say to people, I don't use food all the time. I don't use food all the time, but it's in my toolbox. I use it when I need to use it. Yeah, she wanted to be my best mate. Yeah. And it was non-stop. And if I played the video back to you with her talking, you're just like, Jesus Christ, how did you cope with all that, Chris? It's overload. It's overload in the side of your head. You know, as a dog trainer, it's quite nice to get out with the dogs and just train dogs. I thoroughly enjoy, like I keep saying, far from the madding crowd. But I'm a people person as well, and I do enjoy people, like-minded people who want to learn. So that's important as well. I'm not saying I'm a loner, but when people, I've heard so much shit about dog training over the years, and when someone starts telling you, and I said to her, have you ever taken a bite? Because I was explaining about Dougie. I was grooming him on the beach at the same time. I said grooming him. And I was cutting all the crap out of his fur because he's long coated and he's molting like an absolute sausage. It's black hair everywhere. And it was nothing but an earache. And then he mouthed me slightly and I went, oi, pack that in. And it wasn't nasty. It was just like, oh, you're getting a bit close to the skin there, Dad. I don't have it. But it wasn't a confrontation because I stopped it before it escalated. I went back to grooming him. He loved it. He turned on his back and he was loving it. I looked like a freaking ape. I had black hair all over me, stuck to me because I'd washed him in the river and put some medicated shampoo on him and letting it all soak in. I was cutting around, and it was so funny. His black hair that comes off that dog. I honestly, Jay, I love you as a guy, right? You're a lovely guy. Never ever buy a mutt like that again, right? Because I tell you what do you see other than he is such a character? I love his nature. I love the dog's nature, but genetics, Jesus Christ, who decided to freaking, I'm going to put this dog with this dog and make this dog? It molts like a freaking, honestly, I've never seen so much freaking hair come out of a dog. In the morning, the kennels are black, aren't they, Sue?
Yeah, we'll be picking up hairs at Christmas.
We'll be picking up hairs at Christmas, Sue said. Right. And I've never seen so much dog. He got like a second coat coming through. And so the other coat's got to be pulled out. And the more you pull it, it's like plucking a bloody goose. It's like plucking a goose. It's got 3 layers. I tell you, I talk about, I mean, I should be charging you £3,000 a day, mate. For the bloody, and then did you see him run around on the seaweed? It was so funny. I don't think he's ever ran on seaweed. Yeah, some black hair on you would look good. You bastard, Dr. Sol. Honestly, I know what you mean. I look at myself some days in the mirror and I think, you've had it. You're on your way out.
Well, even John says, I'll keep that hair, Chris. You might need it one day. And he's brave coming down.
Hey, you're down here on Friday. I'd watch it, John. I'll beast you. Tomorrow? He's not here tomorrow, is he?
Yeah, sure it is.
Is it tomorrow or Friday, John?
Thursday.
Making me want to drink, Chris. Tell me about it, Larry. Honestly. What people don't realize, and we have to go through it, Larry, is when people bring you 2-year-old, 3-year-old dogs that have got real problems, you just can't always just turn it around straight away. Sometimes we can, but sometimes it's Friday, John says. See, I told you, Sue. I know, John. Don't worry, mate. I know. So the Taunton crew will be in the house. You bringing that gorgeous missus?
Oh, yeah, it's Friday.
Don't ruin my day. Looking forward to the beasting. There you go. That's what I like. So there you go. Any more questions on it? Because you know, on the Patreon, Sunday evening at 8:30. It's lovely that we've got a button there and people can put the questions in there, because like other people like Larry who does a lot of lives will know that sometimes you've got to go back up and flick down and see all the questions. You may have missed a couple with ranting, because at the end of the day we come on and we have to ad lib. I don't know what I'm going to talk about tonight. This is just ad libbing, just going on. I'm looking for people to communicate, ask questions, and I'll answer the questions. But at the end of the day, Wednesday night just seems to be an entertainment evening. Let's all have a laugh with Chris. And I don't mind that on a Wednesday night. But if I'm here to answer questions. I expect no one will watch the video. Do you think you'll end up dragging Dougie into the water one day, Chris, to get him in there and not this time of year? You mean go swimming with him? He'd pull me under and freaking drag me down and ride me back. He'd ride me back up the beach. It's the same as Ryan's Labrador. He's shitting in the box. He's puking. He's got phlegm. I've spent 35 quid on non-wheat food. He's still doing it. I bought 2 bags of £35 a bag food for that dog specially because Ryan said he wasn't doing it at home. He does it in my car. He does it in the mule. And he gets nervous. And he's got that nervous way about him in many ways, not just with travel. But the more you travel with him, the more you'll get over it. If you get funny with him for crapping in the car, then he's not going to trust you. So you just got to clean it up and smile. But I don't know if you've ever watched McVicker and the way they treated him in prison. And he was an armed robber, John McVicker. And in the end, he just used to grease himself up when he wanted to fight him in the cell. And he used to spread his own shit all over himself and say, "Come and get me." But you can't beat the system because the system will beat you. But did it beat him? Because he got away from that shit and became a psychology major. And at the end of the day, he had to move away from the life he had, else he knew he would never be getting out of prison. And that's exactly the same scenario as if we put too much pressure on these dogs. Some of these dogs will just close down and you won't get the best out of them. With Dougie, we're getting the best out of him, but we're doing it slowly. And Jay has agreed. How many dog trainers do you know who do this? Give you 2 months for nothing because you want to give the dog a little bit of time, and the customer has spent the money giving the dog every chance. And like I said from the start, I can't guarantee with this sort of dog we're going to get the best out of him, but he is so immature still. And I think he's probably 16 months old now, isn't he, Jay? But like a lot of dogs, Rotties, ask Larry, do Rotties really sort of develop until they're 3? I don't know. I'm not a Rottie expert, but some people will say certain dogs of certain breeds don't develop until they're 3, and then they come out themselves. Oh, not Rotties. This was what do you call it? Not Rotties. What was it? Dobermans. That's it. Dobermans. Dobermans don't mature until they're 3. I'm a specialist in gun dog training, but I've never trained a Picardy Spaniel and lanky-legged monster with no genetics that I can see that are there. We've talked about it. We've been open about it, but we're giving the dog every chance. But is the dog so much more sociable? Is the dog listening that much better? Yes, without fail. But at the end of the day, I hate dogs. I don't get many dogs that beat me. I find it a challenge. That's why I stick to what I love, dog training. And if I was well off, I would help people and train dogs for free. As simple as that. I got to earn a living. Simple as that. But I'm not chasing it. I'm not desperate for it because I'm good at what I do. I get asked all the time. I don't need to advertise all over the place. But guess what? The lockdown has affected so many trainers out there in different ways. And we just got to get on with our lives. What's the point in sitting there lying in bed thinking the calendar used to be full and now it's not so full? It's because of the situation. It's a situation all over the world with everybody. People are losing jobs. People are having to cut back. And then I see people buying dogs for £2,000 as puppies on the internet. And I think to myself, you must be mad. You must be frigging mad. Jay, there's so many people out there that would have just beasted him and suppressed everything about him. He's got a lovely nature, and if he comes back just as happy, we'll be a dog. I'll be happy. Do you know what that means a lot to me, Jay? Because guess what? You're dead right. I could have knocked the silliness out of him, and I could have suppressed the desire in the dog to the point that he would not do anything wrong. He would be scared to leave your side. I didn't want that. I don't want that. I don't do that to dogs. I get the best out of the dogs, and if it takes me longer, I don't charge the customer any more than what I've already agreed with. And I thank you for letting me have the dog for 2 months, even though I'm not being rude by saying I'm not paying you. I want people to realize, because some people have said that dog's been with you for ages. Yes, he has, because Jay's wanted to give him every chance to make the grade. And that's why I reached out to Jay to say that's what I'll do. Clifford Maitland, hi Chris, I'm on your Patreon and I've got a 5-month-old Cocker Spaniel and he's a pet, but also want to utilize him as a gun dog for rough shooting. Regards, Clifford. Well done, Clifford. You've come to the right place, and haven't you? Like-minded people, all interested in playing the game, getting the best out of their dogs, and that's what it's about. So welcome, and you'll find that a lot of people on here are on the Patreon, and they're all loving it. Angela Mead, evening, Chris. I'm sorry I'm late. Look at that. Honestly, it's like a teacher in it. Sorry, teacher, I'm late. Angela, you don't need to apologize to me. Thank you for coming in.
There's a few questions.
Hang on. So, Larry Crane, I think the US videos are a lot less shy about showing correction. Yeah, you're right. So, and on the downside, maybe some unsuitable force methods, but at least there's more honesty about showing it. Yep, I agree with you. So, I agree with you on that. Okay, so Lee Matthew. Hi, Chris. What is your methods for stopping 9-week-old puppy from biting hands and clothes? Biggest problem is with my 3-year-old daughter. Any advice would be appreciated. Set the dog up to go wrong, Lee. Let the dog come up to you and bite you, not your daughter. How many times have I said this on the live feeds in the last 10 years? Unbelievable amount of time. Let the dog come in and put the mouth over your hand, flat of your hand. Sorry?
Trouble is they all disappeared.
No. How many times on the live feeds have I said it?
Yeah, and they disappeared.
I'll give him what my wife's saying in the background. I was trying to explain something, and now my wife's talking about disappearing people. They've all disappeared. They've all left the auditorium.
Yeah, videos.
Videos. So you put the flat of your hand in the back of the dog's mouth to the point it hurts slightly. So when the dog comes in at you and bites, put your hand to the back of the mouth, say nothing, and the dog will learn through association that that is not comfortable and not do it. Do not pull your hand away. Do not struggle. Just go inwards rather than pulling away. And that way, the dog will hit the back of the mouth where it just make it a little bit tight there, and it will be uncomfortable. And even if the dog goes, oh, like, don't worry, it will learn. It would learn that in association being with other pups. If it's too rough, the other pup would back it off and show a little bit of, I'm not happy. You don't need to shout at the dog. You don't have to be nasty with the dog. And that's the important thing. So you need to do that, and then the dog will stop biting people, and even a puppy. It doesn't mean you need to be nasty. It doesn't mean you need to hurt the dog, but you need to give the dog that little tiny bit of uncomfortableness, and that will stop straight away. It works a treat. Somebody else is talking there. Sorry. Sue says there's more questions.
No, I can read it out.
Read it out loud then, please.
What do you do if you recall your dog? It doesn't listen, so you go after it, only for it to start to come back, and that's from Gavin Beesdale.
Right, Gavin. So what do you do if you ask your dog to come back, it doesn't come towards you, and it sees you going towards it, and it starts to come back? Well, it depends how much it's playing you up. A threat towards the dog, the movement towards the dog can sometimes be enough. Other times you've got to reinforce it with put the lead on the dog and give the dog a lead tug and give the verbal cue, come here, right? A good video that's gone up just is with what's his name's Cocker was here the other day. Sean and his Cocker. Last video that's just gone up. Beginning of the video, You don't hear what Sean says. I do, and I give a voiceover. The first thing Sean said when he was on the beach with the dog to throw a retrieve on the water, he told the dog to sit. If you tell the dog to sit, it's got to sit. None of this half-hearted, I'll stand on all fours. You give the command, it's got to be followed through. But if you don't give the command, you've not caused a problem. So is it important the dog sits every time before you give it a retrieve on the water? No, not if you're playing a game and you want to build the fun base up. If you're pushing the backside down and telling it to sit because you haven't taught that properly, and then you're ramming it in its mouth and making it hold it, why would the dog want to play that game if you put too much pressure on it? The idea is, I was there, and Sue brought up a good point about that video. She says, yes, but you didn't make your dog sit. I said, I didn't ask my dog to sit. There's the difference between knowing what you're doing and watching a few videos and thinking, oh, well, you contradicted yourself there, Chris. No, I didn't, because perhaps it's my fault for not explaining it better and perhaps putting up the volume. So I could blame myself there to a certain extent, but I had to explain to Sue that, yes, she's right in a way, because if I asked the dog to sit, but Sean actually asked the dog to sit on the first occasion, and I can't pull him for everything, else he's going to go on with an headache and not want to play. But all I was explaining is consistency, his complacency is not there. So if you later on in the video, you'll see me actually saying to the Labrador, sit and then get out. So it's sit, the dog's got to park its arse. Until it parks its arse, it's not having the retrieve. So for parking your arse, I'm giving you the retrieve, what you like. That is the positive. So instead of giving food, there's the positive. Why do I need to give a Labrador food if he loves retrieving? Why did I use food to try and get him to deliver to hand? Because I wanted to do it in a friendly manner so I didn't knock him back. But there comes a point with the dog, with the drive that he had, I'm going to have to put suppression on him to control him. So I'm showing him control in something he enjoys, and that's racing out and retrieving. If he didn't like retrieving, I wouldn't put the pressure on him. So going back to that question, it's a good question because it's dead simple. It's one of them things that you say, hang on, then you're being inconsistent, because one minute you're saying come here and threatening the dog, but you can't be threatening the dog all the time. You can't be going, it's like saying come here, and then going come here, and the dog only comes here on that high verbal cue, that angry gesture. And I see it so many times. You've got to say nice and calm, come here, tell the dog what you wanted. So on the water, when I wanted the dog back to me and not going down the beach, dropping the dummy and going off shaking and sniffing, I'm saying to him on the water, come here, and I'm standing in the water to get him to come to me. Now, in America, what they would do, they wouldn't have that problem, because before that stage had happened, they forced retrieve the dog in the gun dog world. And Larry has already said to a number of people, and I've listened to him before, that he came from the gun dog training world in his early days, watching his family was come from the gun dog world, right? Now he'll know that they bench train, they force train, they force fetch, they force retrieve, they force hold, and we all know that who know about watching the Americans. And that's not having to go at the Americans, that's their system. But they have changed in a lot of gun dog training because they've seen our system and thought, hang on, that works better. So they've tapped into gameplay so much more over the years. But I'm telling you, 20 years ago, they were quite firm with their dogs and did obedience. And then you wonder why they're sitting there screaming their heads off and whining and causing all sorts of problems. Because the more stress you put into the dog, the more pressure you put into the dog, you can have negative effects in other areas of the training. And so that's the whole thing. We breed the dogs to have a soft mouth. It's really important. And yet the Americans were buying dogs off us just for the drive. They weren't buying them and worrying about the mouth. Now they worry about the mouth a little bit more in some areas, and some areas they don't. Noise is not that important. Look at the pointers. Look at the cockers. Look at the cockers in this country. Look how many cockers have got noise because of people breeding, not being selective with the breeding. Clifford Manco, Chris, I'm on your Patreon. Got that one. So come on, what else have we got here? 67 people in the house and 27 likes. Obviously,
Well, Mark Welsh asked ages ago.
go on then. Mark Welsh asks, yeah.
Hi Chris, in the weeks running up to a competition, how would you get a dog ready? Feed, exercise, training, etc.
Well, exercise comes with building the dog up, but do you really need super fit dog to run in a trial? Most trials are 15 to 20 minutes, if tops really. Sometimes you only get a 5-minute run. Does a trial dog prove stamina? I'd say early in the season, when us guys who get out in the real world of in the beat in the beating line and in the picking up line, the beginning of the season, our dogs are not particularly fit, and sometimes we carry a little bit more weight on them. But I guarantee by the end of the season, they're like freaking mean, lean fighting machines because they've had 4 days a week. Some of those dogs, and you work your dog 4 days a week for 6 hours. You get your dog super fit. Do you need an endurance athlete to run in a trial? No. What most trial people do is keep them locked up in the kennel, right? And when they bring them out for short bursts. And that way, they have a dog that hunts like a demon. But if you actually watch them and you're judging, and I've judged, obviously, as you know, some of them dogs go off like stink for the first 10 minutes, and then it drops off them like crazy. So there's a fitness, definitely, to get the dogs fit if you want to impress a judge and you know what you're doing. But there's a time scale that you work, and you're building up that energy for that half an hour. So do you need to exercise your dog as much as you think? No, but there's nothing finer than that tennis game because that makes them open their lungs. It makes them get out there. It makes them mark. It makes the marking ability really important, and it makes them into an athlete for that short blast where they need that extra strength and power. Now, years ago, I used to feed tripe. I used to feed raw tripe. I used to do everything that the trial boys say, and guess what? Does it make the dogs any better? No, it makes the shit stink. Is it better for the dog raw food than dry food? Of course it is. But when I'm running around like a blue-ass fly in the mornings or in the evenings, I feed kibble, but I give them extra on top. I give them bones. I give them stuff like that to build them up. And my dogs are athletes, and my dogs are on lowish protein food. If you feed your dog such a high protein food, some high protein foods can make the dog react. It can make them hyper. It can make them more driven, right? And if you're more driven, you're prone to noise. So at the end of the day, do you want noise? You can create noise with food, funny enough, because you can have too much protein and it hypes them up. It jacks them up. And that's the same scenario with the training. If you do too much fun-based training, you can take the dog over the top. You don't want to overdo it, but once you've got that drive and desire, then you start putting your control into the dog and your obedience into the dog, that 20% obedience into that dog at that point. Okay, you've got 2 minutes.
One question then.
Go on.
But it's from Andrew Tenton. He just says, hello, it's a pleasure to be back. But it does say the question, you can save it for Patreon. And it's a weird one, so you may ask it.
Yeah, but now, Susan, I read the question out earlier on when it came through, and I said to him, let's save it for Patreon.
Right, fine.
And perhaps you can come on and ask me the question. I love Patreon where we can split the screen and people can come on and ask questions, and we can sit down and talk about it, because I read what he was asking, and I was a little bit sort of, well, it could mean a number of things. The question, the way you look at it, it depends how you read it.
Because he did say I was speaking generally for a Springer to point, if possible, and how you might get it. So
why do you want a Springer to point?
Yeah, that's why.
So
so leave it for Patreon.
Pointing, in the judging rules of a Springer, you don't want a Springer pointing, right? But hey, you might want a Springer pointing if you're flying over hawks. So at the end of the day, horses for courses. But you said about trialing. I think he mentioned something about trialing. I'm not sure. But anyway, I read the question. She's going to read it out again because.
No, save it for.
Anyway, here we are. I was hoping you could address pointing a little bit, and the transitioning from the retrieve as a juvenile to as a steady trial-worthy point, please. And thanks in advance. Well, I'm sorry, Andrew, but a Springer shouldn't be pointing. Now, I can tell you this. I've seen people in the past 20 years ago when the dog's running in and not stopping on the flush and continuing chasing a bird that I've seen, and they're A-panel judges, these guys now. I've seen them put e-collars on dogs and fry the shit out of them, and then the dog would false point. So if you want to get a dog to false point, frighten the shit out of it, and it will stand there when it wins a bird and not go in for a flush. The late Keith Erlandson used to always tell me, there's nothing finer than a good contact flush. That's like having sex without a condom. I knew you'd go back to that, Chris. I knew that would have to come up somewhere along the lines. But what I'm saying to you, it's so important. You do not want a spaniel pointing. You want a spaniel to flow. You don't want it being like what we call a cobra, and it sneaks around, and then all of a sudden it goes 300 miles an hour into its prey because it now realizes it's there, so it sneaks around. You want it hunting hard, and anything that gets up, the dog's got to stop, watch it away. If you shoot it and send it, the dog picks it. If not, you ask the dog to carry on, leave that, and carry on hunting. So that's why I said to you at the time, Andrew, and that's why Sue wasn't listening in the background there. I said that's one of them questions. I'm a little bit confused. I asked you, are you talking about GSPs? Or are you talking about pointing dogs? And that's why it was important. You said, and Sue said no. You said a spaniel. So that's why I've addressed that question in that way. So that's 60 people in the house, 21 thumbs up. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. Unless you've got something really serious to say, why don't you all bollocks to the lot of you? Thanks for signing in. Thanks for coming in and following and having a laugh on that Wednesday night. And I haven't drunk too much whiskey. And I just want to say bollocks to all of you. And we were going to give away a mug today for a questions and answers thing. But we can save that for another day. They're rare as rocking all shit. There's only 2 people in the country. Only 2 people in the country got one of these. Only 2 people in the country got one of these. We're not giving these away like Smarties. You're going to have to freaking earn them. You're going to have to come here and do something special.
Did you read Angela Mead's about the Bramble Basher dog? Did you read that?
Hang on. Sue now wants me to read something about Angela Mead's Bramble Basher dog. Angela Mead. Hi, Chris. Out of interest, you mentioned that some dogs are bramble bashers. Is this bred into them or educated into them? What age do you introduce a dog to the rabbit pen? 2 questions, eh? 2 questions, eh? You sneaked one in there, didn't you, Angela? Hey, I could see that was the second one you threw in there, didn't you? But guess what? They actually tie together because horses for courses, as they say. I know a guy 30 years ago bought a field trial champion from Scotland, and he bought it down here to run down here and show off with, and the dog didn't hit cover because it was a white grass dog and it won on white grass on rabbits. It was a rabbit dog, but it was still a Springer Spaniel. But if you breed lengthy, twisty, stylish dogs, doesn't always mean they'll smash cover. But if you go to a trainer who lives in an area that he's got to really hunt, and he's got to have dogs that will hunt just for the fun of it, and you'll find this in Wales a lot, and you'll find it in Cornwall, but you'll find different parts of the country, some breeds, although they're the same breeds, have got better traits for the area they hunt. That doesn't mean that you can't train a dog to become what we call a bramble basher, a cover dog. But a bramble basher is trained different to a white grass dog. So let's just say you've got access to thousands and thousands of heads of game. Thousands, like some of these shoots. Like Ian Openshaw. Do you need a bramble basher? Or do you need a very biddable, stylish dog that you can show off with in the open? And then at the championship, it looks beautiful, like a snake. How many championships are held in the thickest of the thick? And yet, down in sunny Cornwall, some of them trials, you can't get through the cover. You've got to feed the dog in. And if your dog don't go in, he ain't going to get no awards under judges down here. So horses for courses. So it was a good question, Angela, that if you've got a dog and you want to teach it to smash cover, if you build a rabbit pen with stick piles in, where do you think the rabbits are going to go when you chase them? Into the cover for protection. That's where the dog finds the rabbits. So to begin with, we let the dog chase around the outside of the stick piles, and then we let the dog get in the stick piles. When the dog's just chasing with visual, like eye contact, the movement in the open, and the rabbit goes to cover, when you start seeing him smacking through the cover and not even thinking about the cover, you've created a bramble basher. Now, some dogs will smash cover to pieces within a couple of sessions in the pen because of the temptation of the rabbits. Most dogs are lunt. But up country, you'll get some trainers, they won't have stick piles in the rabbit pen. They'll only have white grass, reeds, rushes. And the rabbit will sit out in the open. Now, if you go to Scotland and Yorkshire, the amount of rabbits that will sit out is phenomenal. Down here in Cornwall, they'll sit out on the edges, but you've got the edges will be gone on the big thick edges because we've got plenty of thick edges. But down here, we've got lots of bramble, we've got lots of thick cover, and some of these people up country wouldn't stand a chance down here running in competition. So you've got to have a versatile dog, and I like a dog that can do all of it, and that's important to me. So there you go. I've answered that question. That's
one question more.
Oh no, she's in the background. She's pushing me.
30-second answer.
30-second answer. She wants. Hang on.
1 minute past 9 from the dog photographer, and it's 30 seconds answer. If you just want to beat, what is the max distance you should let them go? Go.
Depends what cover you're in.
30 seconds, I said.
No, that was answered before 30 seconds. Depends what cover they're in. Stephen Red, come on, Chris, when you get in your next cocker. Stephen, no wonder they hid that one from us. No wonder admin, she's dogging you in. She's dogging on you, Chris. Hope she's paying overtime. Exactly. I could sit down, relax in a Radox bath, and she wants me to answer another question. Right, ask the question again. Ask the question again. I'll try and be sensible.
Right. Okay. Now I've lost it. Right. If you just want to beat,
yeah,
what is the max distance you should let them go? Go.
Well, if you just want to beat, it's a funny question. Not the table. Is it not Tables Carlos?
No, it's the dog photographer.
Oh, the dog photographer. It's a funny question because if you just want to beat, are you saying that I never want to shoot over the dog? As long as the dog's not running on and ruining the drive, then if you're happy, I'm happy. But where would I want my dog to want? I'd want it no more than 15 feet, 20 feet either side of me, but it doesn't need to be a windscreen wiper action. But guess what? Not everybody can hold a bramble basher, an out and out game finder, because they'll pull onto game. Depends, what sort of shoot you're on. If you're on 1,000 bird day, you're going to be putting up 10,000 birds during the day through the woods. You don't want a dog away from you. If he's away from you sort of 40 feet, the beginning of the season, by the end of the season, he'll be 60, 70 feet away from you. You won't be seeing him. So there's a compromise. There's a real compromise in where you want your dog. Do I want him all around my feet? No. But guess what? It's easy if you're an old bloke and you're walking through the woods and your dog's all around your feet and you're talking to your mate and you're having a good time. I don't get spaniels beating 15 foot either side. I can... Honestly, did you see that, everyone? No, did you see that from Seoul? The GSP man, 15 feet either side. He could hit him out with a stick. I tell you what, next time he's coming down here, reach. I'm telling you, next time I see that man, he's in for it. Hey, so I've got a spaniel here you can take on for a month. I bet you wouldn't see it.
What's the second point?
Ooh, that's the freaking point.
I'm steady. One question.
Listen, everyone. Wife's in the background trying to ask more questions. Listen, if I say to people, throw it out 10 foot, we were talking about this the other day. How many people throw it out 30 foot? So when I say keep the dog 15 foot, perhaps 30 foot's a freaking doddle if you can keep it 30 foot. Right? So at the end of the day, 15 feet, that way and 15 feet that way and 15 foot that way, if you're keeping your dog there and it's putting up birds all over the place for you, you've got a nice dog. If it's doing what Sol's dog's doing, you've got to sit there with a hip flask. Trust me, you need to change your dog.
There is actually one
horses for courses. What did I say earlier? What was I saying earlier? Come on, then. Go on. She's got another question now.
Yeah, no, it's
oh, let's stay for 2 hours, shall we, everyone?
No,
I mean, I'll have another whiskey. Don't worry.
No, it's from Stephen Webb.
Stephen Webb. Question from Steve.
John's got onto it as well, and so is Chris DeBell. Steve.
Angela Mead. Angela Mead, you're my sort of girl. Men lie about length. Tell me about it. Honestly, I've got 12 inches, but don't use it as a rule. Stop it. That's just an old one.
Right. It's an important one, actually, because I think they do want to know. Stephen asked you.
Hang on. I want to answer this one. Andrew Hurley. If your 2-year-old cocker flushes a squirrel and rabbit and barks, is this bad etiquette? Well, if he flushed a squirrel and a rabbit at the same time, no. Especially if he stopped. He's just informing you it's a left and a right. Okay, I don't know why you asked that question, but go on. So yeah, you could stroll through yourself, and I will stand still on a flush. You just have a terrier to pick them. Honestly, he's just winding you up, everyone. Go on, Susan. What's the question?
Right.
Here she goes.
Stephen Webb.
Stephen Webb.
And it goes on a little bit.
Oh, it goes on a bit. Here we go.
Come on, Chris. When are you getting your next cocker? We all know you're getting one. You're a changed man. And John Wilson says, Stephen, I'll try and convince him on Friday. Chris DeVille went, good luck, John. So when are you getting your next cocker? Because obviously Rafa is changed. Go answer it.
I'll tell you what. I say it the way it is, as everybody knows. And we had Chris DeVille down here, and he brought that cocker. And I saw the cocker at 7 months old, and I thought, what a lovely little cocker. Get that right, and that's going to be really nice. And he was really mad keen, and he'd done a good job, but his hunting was not very good at all. There was no hunting in the dog. And we went across the field, and it was a bit boring, really. But I had to show him, and he was so green. But he's come on so well by watching the videos, by watching other videos, by watching other people. And he's such a nice lad. I could have freaking shed a tear for him when I told him about trialing, because he was so mad to trial that dog. And we're going back to the same question about the cocker. When you're going to get a cocker, Chris? It would break my bloody heart to have a dog as good as that and have noise. Now, I say this to Chris: don't get rid of that dog. She's too good. She's too good. Put up with the noise. Live with it. It's not massive, but you'll get put out of trials for it. So don't build your hopes up. You know, if she did quieten down after a few years of being out in the field, then great. But I don't think so. I'd love him to prove that wrong. I would love him in a year's time for that dog just to go, I know what it's all about now. I'm not going to make noise. But I've only, with my experience, seen it get worse. But that would break my heart. I play the percentage game. And with the Springer Spaniels, you've got a better percentage of making that dog up into a trial dog, if that's what you want, compared to the up and down genetics of these cockers and the traits that they've got. But by God, haven't I learned to appreciate the little bastards? They are so much fun. I can see why people love them. But would I really want a kennel full of cockers?
John says you could have this for $1 million, and Peter says there's here one for you if you want it.
No, I'm sorry, but Angela me gutted for him. Yeah, exactly. So am I, gutted for him. And Rafa, do you know what? He's going to make an absolute fantastic dog for somebody else.
Yeah.
See what she said in the background? See what she said in the background? She loves the little chocolate bastard. She loves the little. But do you know what I love about him? He's full of character. He is a stroppy little bastard, but I love him. He doesn't give you eye contact all the time, but he loves you to death. £1 million would be a pocket change for Chris. There you go. Yeah, I live in the real world. But the nice thing is I've learned to appreciate them by seeing people's cockers that have come here. But I've also, are they as bad? This is a good question, isn't it? I'll ask a question, shall I, and then I'll answer it. Are they as bad as they used to be years gone by, Chris? Sometimes some of them are. Some of them are worse, but they're inconsistent. One minute you get a brilliant one like Chris's, who's a lovely little bitch, but then got that little bit of problem. Then you get another one that's so erratic, it wants to bury every retrieve. That's going back to that old stamp of cockers. And whether it was because they were too closely bred because of the genetic pool going back. And there's that argument, isn't there? People who've put springers on cockers and still calling them cockers, are they cheating or are they actually improving the breeding? Are they actually bringing in new blood and improving the breeding? But technically, it's against the law. It's against the breeding laws. The Kennel Club should say something. You've not heard the Kennel Club really saying much about it at all, have you? And yet, we've now got the genetics to tell you whether it's a cocker or a sprocker. And they seem to sit on the fence with that one, don't they, the Kennel Club? Don't they? They don't seem to want to get too involved in that. It's probably because the Queen could be pulled into it. But you don't know, do you? You don't know. It could just be hearsay, couldn't it? But we've not heard much, have we? And enough people shouting about it, but no one's actually not seen anything happen about it. And so I remember Keith Erlinson talking about it. And Keith Erlinson used to talk about the fact of the genetics of the cockers are not pure cockers, and that going back to 1975, that's not going that back that far. The smaller ones you could register as cockers, and the larger ones you could register as springers. Well, I can tell you one thing: you can have a litter out there, and the little runt looks really small. You could register as a cocker, and 4 months later, it's freaking biggest pup there. It's had to fight for its food, but it's shot up. Well, they are all sprockers. The genes won't tell you when the pedigrees are among. Honestly, Soul, Dr. Soul, he's on one tonight, isn't he?
What's that with pointers as well, then?
Pointers. Honestly, Susan, Soul's on one tonight. I'm having another whiskey now, Soul. Honestly.
No, seriously, serious.
Well, dogs come from something, didn't they? We've played around with the genetics. Sometimes you see King Charles Spaniel in the head of some of these cockers, don't you? King Charles Spaniel. Let's drop the springers down to that and call them cockers, because cockers are fetching the money. But then again, I see setters in some of these GSPs. Mongrels, bloody mongrels, and bloody mouth and noise. Honestly, everyone. So anybody? So I'll ask you a question. How long have we been training dogs? How long has man been training dogs? So could you give me a sort of, you being a doctor and that, knowing about apes and human biology and all that? Could you tell us, so how long has man been training dogs?
I think it's been drinking just that. We've rated these breeds in that 150 years. I've lost me on that one.
Yeah, I think he's been on the wine.
Yeah,
I think he's been on the wine, Soul has.
Or his homemade gin. I
was going to get a little bit of input there. He's gone really quiet now. I think he's Googling it, everybody. He's Googling how long has man been training dogs?
No longer than it takes to train a man. She's a good woman, that woman, isn't she? That Angela.
I like this Angela. She's all right, isn't she?
You mean forever then, Angela?
Hey? It's gone all quiet. Did anyone watch that program last night? So got bugger all to do with being a doctor. We've been training since we domesticated them. John Wilson, 32,000 years. Right. Anybody got any video footage? I got one going back to 3680. Hey, the dog was Angela. Is that just sexist or just an opinion? Hey. Googled it. Well done, John. Well done. I was going to say, but guess what? There was a program on yesterday, and I thought it was quite interesting in points, and it was explaining of where the wolves come from, and it was explaining about they put in dogs into these scanners, where they put you in and check your brain and all that shit, right? And they can see it on the screen, and that Soul know what this is all about. And they put them in there, and they give dogs food, and they saw what parts of the brain lit up and went, yeah, food, here we go. And they put toys in there, and they showed the dog favorite toys that they've been playing with, and they wanted to see what parts of the brain lit up, and it didn't light up much for food, and it didn't light up much for toys. And so then they did gameplay, and it lit up like crazy. It lit up like crazy. So it may have lit up for toys, actually. Toys may have been part of a gameplay, but they did a number of experiments, and it's amazing. The gameplay, the dogs lit up, because as soon as they use that nice voice with the toy, they're associated, yes, this is fun. And so isn't it funny how we've gone all those years, and now we're looking at CP, what scanners are they called, Sue? Solar know what scanner it is.
MRI scanners.
MRI scanners, and they're putting the dogs in MRI scanners, and they're trying to read out how the Sue you only after your cartwheel, John. I don't know what's going on.
He wants a cup, so he said if he does a cartwheel in the yard on Friday, can he get a cup? So then he's saying,
not at your age, John. Not a cartwheel. No, you're going to have to be over 47 to do a cartwheel to impress me. Cup for a bloody cartwheel. We're not giving away like freaking Smarties. Next, you'll be asking me to give awards away. I did the hop, skip, and a jump as I come in the yard. Do I get an award, Chris? Honestly, you got to bloody earn it, boy. We'll have to have a look at your dog, won't we? Taking from experience, the dog photographer took 32 years to train my hubby laugh out loud. You see, the thing is, Angela, you're either a very, very good trainer, but Sue could never train me. It's not on the tin. She's never used enough discipline. That's the problem. Hey, are you taking the piss now, roly-poly, John? Oh, here we go. Soul sussed it. Look. So domesticated dogs 20 to 40,000 years ago, but breeds a 50-year.
no,
150. I was going to say a 50-year. So 150. Yes, definitely 150. The Kennel Club haven't been around that long. But at the end of the day, they've now said yesterday in this scientific program that they put up, and they were telling us about everything, that they've now found out that dogs are descendants of wolves. So there goes the science out the window yet again when they tell us that dogs are not descendants of wolves. Right? If you go back on the DNA, they are. They've proved it. There you go. But they can't tell you when. So they are all mongrels. Not Mongols. Stop it. Stop it. Mongrels. And it's all bollocks. Exactly. Why have registered dogs? Why just not mixed breed with anything?
So actually, his cup was brilliant, wasn't it? Never mind the bollocks.
Yeah. So Soul's right. After all that, he's right. He may be pissed, but he's all right. So after all that, never mind the bollocks. Show us your dog. All right. I've not seen many Alsatians in the beating line. I've not seen that many pit bulls in the beating line. I've seen the odd sheepdog, Jack Russell, and there is a few mixed breeds.
Picardy spaniels.
Could you get noise? No, I think you get more like a hard mouth. Lighting the fire with my pedigree now. Exactly, John. What's the point in going to do that? I mean, and now Sol's told us it's all a load of bollocks. Now he's told us we're all got freaking mongrels. None of us should be running in competition if they're not KC registered. They can't be KC registered if they're all mongrels. I'm sticking to my Springer Spaniels.
So that's where the
Me SP.
So technically, then the competitions can be mixed breeds and everything, can't they?
No, they can't, Sue, because the Kennel Club say they've got to be Kennel Club registered.
No,
Pedigrees, pedigree dog, Sue. Pedigree dog. Pedigree dog. What about silver Labradors? Come on then. Who's been breeding them? What have they been bred with? Soul. Silver Labradors.
Springer Commander's coming late.
Springer Commander. Good evening, Chris. Good evening. Does anybody else want to take over this show? It's supposed to be a freaking hour tonight, and you're still here, you lot. Have you got nothing better to do? You've got 32 thumbs up, and I've been here for an hour and 25 minutes. I've done overtime tonight, 25 minutes and 14 seconds.
So, good night, everyone.
So what?
Wow.
Jesus Christ, got messages coming through everywhere.
Oh, Christopher, might just jack it all in and buy a lumber.
Christopher.
Don't.
Christopher. I know it's been a bad week. Don't go there. You'll destroy yourself. It will. That could be the final straw, Christopher. Please, don't buy a freaking clumber. I know it's a mongrel.
Well, John's going to cheer you up because he said, no, me and the missus.
Someone said, I saw a nice post from a German bloke.
He does it, bloke.
He who had passed his open working test and is now allowed to breed from it. And that's a real attitude. And what? He's now allowed to breed from it.
And was now allowed.
Honestly, I got her in the background giving me shit. I'm dyslexic, and I'm going, he's not allowed to breed from it. He's allowed to breed from it if he gets his working certificate. That's what they should be in this country. But guess what? A working certificate in this country doesn't mean jack shit. It's as simple as that. But that doesn't make me very popular in certain circles, does it?
No.
Especially fluffy dog trainer circles, that you can have a dog training award if your dog can sit there and retrieve a dummy. Well done. We're trying to get a little bit more out of your dogs than that, aren't we?
Well, to finish
Angela said, just enjoy watching you get pissed. Angela, not even quarter of a bottle tonight. And don't forget, this is the thin end. A bit like me. Fat end's down here.
If John and his missus are sat in bed watching you, that'll cheer you up. There you go, that's a...
John, send us a photo. Cheers. On that note, bollocks to you all. See you Sunday if you want some more chat. That's your lot. Yeah, he's still on it. Look, that's a pedigree. That means something. Good night, somebody. Chris, dry food mixer. Do you find? Fuck off.